Hey, have you ever heard of the concept of 5011 jobs? You ever hear? So it's when I think about the idea of someone having 5011 jobs, I think about a person who is um, just multifaceted and working really hard at in a lot of different areas. And personally, I always wonder, when do they rest? When do you, if you are working multiple jobs, if you are doing so many things for so many people, when do you rest? I'm LaRonda Great, and I have a community called Our Own Lane, where my goal is to support Black professionals who work in private schools. I chose this goal and mission and my vision because I worked for 25 years in private schools. And over the course of my 25-year career, one of the things that I was missing most was being in community with Black professionals like myself. Where do I go to learn and glean knowledge from those who have walked the path before me? And in 2001, I attended the National Association of Independent Schools People of Color Conference. And that's where I discovered the answer to my question. My people were there. In 2001, the conference had started in 1986 with about 200 participants. Okay, so the concept of bringing people of color who were working in private schools together for a conference to uh, uh, think about ideas, compare what they were going through with what was happening at other schools. That conference grew into an international event. I remember my first conference in 2001 was held in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I cried through the entire conference. Here's why. Having grown up in predominantly Black spaces in Detroit from age 0 to 13, Inkster, Detroit, that Michigan area, I knew the power of being in community with other Black people who looked like me on a spectrum, right? I knew people who, um, there was the mayor, Mayor Coleman Young was the mayor of Detroit back in the 70s when I was growing up. And I just I understood that sense of self that I had and I took with me when we would move from Detroit to Lawton, Oklahoma. It's just Fort Sill. It's a military base. It's much more diverse community, more white people than I'd ever lived with in my life. And I was comfortable in that space because I had a strong grounding and a strong sense of my own cultural identity from growing up in Detroit. All right. So that means that when in 1998, I did my internship at a school that was predominantly white, I was fine. I was comfortable with my own identity, who I was coming into that space, even though I was one of few. In 1998, I knew that I would be the token Black professional working at that school. They made no qualms about it. The head of school said to me, I want the people to see you because it demonstrates that the school is making an effort to integrate, to have the students see a leader, a professional that looks like them. This past week, I was I had a lot of one-on-one calls with what I call OGs, veterans, right? These folks who were in these positions before I ever joined in 1998. I had a conversation with someone who was at a couple of people who were at that 1986 People of Color Conference, one who is still working in schools, and the other who has since retired. The story remains the same. Being one of only one or one of a few in your school, or even being one of you have a cohort. One of the people that I spoke to works in a school that has a good size of people of color in their school. And in that space, however, we talked about agency. We talked about how do you, in any of these spaces, in any role that you have as a Black professional in private schools, how do you leverage your power? How do you leverage your position? Okay. If you're working in the admissions office, I have had Black admissions folks tell me they still sit on a committee. They sit on an admissions committee. Even if you're the director of the admissions program for that school, you report directly to the head of school, right? And you have a team. You may have a team. You may have a small team. You may have a big team, depending on the size of your school. That's great. How do you bring your full self into that relationship that you have with the head of school? How do you get across? You also have to report to the board, because private schools depend on enrollment, and the board is there to help support that enrollment. Schools won't be schools. They're not publicly funded. They are funded by people who believe in the mission of the school and excuse me, and want that mission instilled in their children, right? And you, as the Black professional working in that space, whether it's admissions or the advancement office, or you're a classroom teacher, you're a division head, how do you, when you are one of or one of a few, how do you get across the mission that you want to, the wisdom that you have, the knowledge that you have? How do you make sure that the school understands you've hired a Black professional to do the work, whatever position you're in? And while many, or I've heard some say that race should not play a role in the work or in any conversation, I disagree. I think that your culture, your race, your gender identity, all these things play a part in who you are and how you do your job. Okay, so you understand that point. Now let's get back to the 5011 jobs. So when I started Our Own Lane back, I started thinking about it in March. I was in a training program, and we were, I do a lot of ums, and I'm working on that and being coached. During the training program, we were asked to come up with an offer. What did I want to offer to the world? And I knew that my offer was going to be something that helped support that story that I just told. How do I help the Black professionals who are working in these schools to feel seen? How do I help them to grow in their leadership? How do I offer them access to my Rolodex, if you will. So when I started back in March with that idea, what I thought was, but I don't want to work 11 jobs. I don't want to do 17,000 different jobs. I would like to have one job because that's the way I was trained. I've had jobs since I was probably it was before I left Detroit. So I had a paper route. And then I worked for the city program, CETA. I remember that. And that was always, that concept was, you do your job, you get paid. Well, actually, the paper route was more entrepreneurial, but you still had a boss. Excuse me. I had to deliver the papers, and then I had to collect from my customers, and I had to pay a part of what I collected to the people who gave me the papers. So that's the strategy that I understood. That's the way I understood capitalism to work. Excuse me. You give a service, you get paid for that service. Well, I apologize for that. Building my ecosystem. So the concept of an ecosystem, I was like, what is that? I remembered past Bishop T.D. Jakes one time talking about the concept of revenue streams. He said, you don't want to have all your money in one bucket. This can be an investment, and that's probably what the title, what he was teaching on was probably about investing and making money. And he talked about being the pastor of the Potter's House. And he wrote books. He did speaking engagements. He made movies. All these things were different revenue streams within his ecosystem that allowed him to pay his overhead. He didn't really have to depend on, and this is not me. I don't know that man up close and personal. I just know what I think what I remember hearing him talk about is that he had these different income streams so that he didn't need to take a salary from the Potter's House. He wasn't dependent on the tithes and offerings. And he wasn't. So I'm going to put a pin in that just because it's controversial, right? People have their feelings about these religious leaders who make money, etc. And I have my feelings, and that's not what this is about. This is about the multiple income streams that you need to have in order as an entrepreneur. And this is a lesson that I've learned since February and March of this year, when I came in with my my mindset around, well, how do you sustain your life when you want to give your passion to the world? Well, and using Bishop Jakes's model, he would preach. And I mean, he's not the only one. Again, I follow many, many entrepreneurs that serve as mirrors for me, Oprah being at the top of my list. And some of the advice that I've heard from Oprah has to do with her having mentors, I didn't realize how important it is when you're trying to start something new, especially like I'm doing. I need to have people to show me the way. And it is humbling. That is the exact word. I was humbled this week because I have been doing all of these things. I have packaged my idea. I know that I can offer value, and people keep asking the question, what is in it for me? What will the end result be? There will be no end result. It's similar to, I feel about that question, like I feel like, what is in it for me for living a life? I am trying to be the best person that I can be. I am trying to offer as much assistance to people while at the same time take that much care for myself. And that model is what I want to give to other people. And I would like for you to pay me for me to teach you how I gained my level of audacity and my level of comfort jumping out into spaces that were not built for me. That's why I'm here on Substack. That's why I'm recording live. I've done a lot of things along this journey, recording my weekly YouTube video and then posting it on YouTube in the hopes that, or the thought that YouTube was going to be the way that I would be able to get back to the salary that I had made at my last job. That's the goal. So if I put that as my goal, it's like, yep, I want to work for myself. I want to do these things to help other people. How am I going to get there? Well, with learning the new tools that the world has at our disposal in 2026. AI is here, and I have a good friend who works at a school in Atlanta who is on, I don't like the word progressive, but they are progressive in terms of helping schools, school leaders to understand the value of AI. And this, she told me that Anthropic is her AI tool of choice. And so that's Claude, da da da. I use Claude, I use ChatGPT, and I use the specialized AI tool also, all because, and sometimes I jump over into Gemini or Copilot, or I'm just trying to learn how to have the right supplies, if you will, to use a school analogy. I'm an educator. I need my pencils. Sometimes, I have um this is a great analogy. Let's see if I have, yes, I do. I have tools. Okay. So show and tell. Pencil, regular pencil with an eraser. This was great. When I was a child, you were happy to have a number 2 pencil. If you needed to take a standardized test, is this a number 2? Yeah, the number 2 pencil, right? And then along came this puppy right here, right? This is a mechanical pencil that has the lead. I don't need a pencil sharpener. Here I need a pencil sharpener, and when I sharpen this pencil all the way down, then I need a new pencil. Here, I've got lead inside here, and yes, it needs to be refilled, da da da. That's all I'm saying. These tools, the AI tools that I'm using, are supplements. They will help me write the great American novel, perhaps. Um, and so learn the tools, learn how to use them, all toward the goal, and the mission is to build our own lane community, to have LaRonda Greats be out here in this world supporting not just Black professionals in schools. Right, so I'm going to tell you about my 5011 jobs that I came up with, streamlined this morning so that they made sense to me, so that they didn't make me exhausted just thinking about the amount of work that's ahead of me. That expression that says, if you do what you love, you'll never work another day in your life. That's what I'm trying to build for myself, because I have worked hard for other people. I have done work. I have supported other people. I have cared for others. I raised 2 children. And it wasn't as fulfilling as this journey that I've been on in 2026. So, my offers. I have a community that I call the Black Queens community for Black women over 50. That is a group of women that I have been um, in community with since probably 2021. I don't remember the exact. Is that right? Yeah, I think it's 2021, because I was living in San Francisco when the idea came up in my mind. It was like, oh, yes, I am one of those Black women over 50. And we were coming out of Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and all these things. And I was thinking, man, Black women over 50, my life matters too. My opinion matters. And I was just at the beginning of starting to feel ageism, starting to feel that I had reached an age where people, I remember the first time I heard the term, okay, boomer, right? I was born in 1963, full disclosure. That still kind of sticks with me a little bit, because I don't know if you're going to punish me because you hear that I am 63 years old and I am betting on myself. I'm not betting on you to be more um, evolved than that, and to know in 2026, if you have someone who still has their mental faculties, if they still have their mental faculties and they can offer you wisdom, please listen. If they're telling you foolishness, use your discernment. That's all I'm going to say about that. I was not blessed to be raised by grandparents. I had a great aunt who was alive, but even she passed in the 80s. So that type of wisdom, the type of wisdom that I am trying to offer, is built out of that. That's where I'm coming from with that. My next offer that I have is the Our Own Lane Accelerator. So Our Own Lane is the community that I built at 3 levels. The on-ramp, which is free, takes you into my school community, and where I'm starting next month, we will start, I hope we're going to start to have conversations. I've got probably about 20 members in that community right now. Love to grow it. If you're a Black professional who works in private schools, that's a free community that you can join and come in and share and just get to know other Black professionals who are similar to what I talked about, that I experienced for the first time after being hired to work at a school in 1998, and did not see us in mass until 2021. 2001, not 2020. 2001, when I attended the People of Color Conference. So the first lane, the on-ramp, come in absolutely free. If you want to be in a cohort that is specifically targets the school year, has different themes for each month to help you make it and survive in and thrive in your current position. At this middle space, there's the accelerator lane. And then there's the third lane, which is the pace setter lane. And those two are paid lanes. The accelerator is $1,297 for the year. If you're a pace setter, for example, if you're a new division head, et cetera, and you would like to have an experienced former retired administrator on your team outside of who does not work inside your school, I'm raising my hand for that role. And the cost to be in that lane is $3,997. My goal, my mission, um, as I build this out would be to probably do some, come in and do some trainings, build some webinars, some online things, etc. Deal with a school that is interested, or maybe even I'm thinking work with a regional organization that supports independent schools who is not afraid to have training and topics that support Black professionals who work in private schools. That's the ask, right? That's what I'm working toward. I know politically the country has been in a is a little challenging for some people. If you are working in a private school, though, if you're going to show up this August, you showed up July 1st because you got a new gig in a senior admin role, you're doing pretty good. You got a job. Let's go. Let's go. I'm proud of you. I celebrate that, and I mean that sincerely, because the job market right now is tough and people are having a hard time getting jobs. So probably at least once a month, I'm going to remind you to have a sense of gratitude that you have a job. Now, now you have the job. How do you keep yourself from going insane, from keep yourself from allowing the weight of the job to weigh you down? How do you do that? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, right? What are you doing on a daily basis? You drinking your water? You have affirmations that you maybe read every day. I have a great, I have a woman who I know who has an amazing card deck to help you with your affirmation. You don't have to do this by yourself. That's one of my taglines, and also my what I like to say is find your lane, find your people, and find them here. Okay? So that's my call to action. That's what I learned about the idea of not wanting to have 50, 11 jobs. At the end of the day, what I've learned is that I just want to be in alignment with what I want to do, what is in my heart to do, and that is to serve people, to be able to take care of myself and not live under an overpass. I don't want to eat cat food. Haven't heard that in a while, but I remember when I was growing up, when I was younger, I think maybe Oprah might have did a show about, people, seniors. I'm a senior, right? Senior citizens who didn't have enough money to buy food, so they were eating cat food. I'm a new age senior. I'm a new age senior who likes technology, who loves to serve people, who believes in kindness, and believes that I have a product and I have a mind and I am building something that I don't see out in this world right now. So it's a passion project. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not worrying about whose cup of tea. I am not. I am worried about you. And if you're watching this video and this makes sense to you, consider joining our own lane. If you're a Black woman over 50, consider joining the Black Queens group. You will have a link in the description. The Black Queens group will start in September, so that won't be available until probably mid-August. But our own lane community, I launched it April 29th, and my goal is to have 24 members in the accelerator lane, and I call that middle lane, for $1,297, and then 6 one-on-one elite level VIP members in the pace setter lane. $3,997 for a year of one-on-one mentorship, someone to walk through with you your journey within private schools as a Black professional who might not feel that you have the safety to be yourself and speak on things that you encounter on a daily basis. I know the experience. I know the feeling. I walked those halls for 25 years. I did it in 5 different schools from 1998 to 2023. I'd love to help you. All right. See you later.